Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here today. We've got our Minnesota Vikings 7-round 2024 mock draft. One of the more intriguing situations to monitor right now with the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously just made a big trade for a first-round pick. We're going to see how all that plays out. We're going to dive into it here today. The Vikings, they have $14.3 million in cap space. One of the reasons they don't have more is because two players that are no longer on the roster, Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter, have massive dead cap hits. Those will clear up in the future. This is going to be a team that is now looking for a new starting quarterback. When you talk about their needs, quarterback is at the top of the list. They did bring in Sam Darnold, who I think can be a stopgap type of guy. You're not building this program around what he brings to you, but can he potentially start for all of or some of the 2024 season and maybe give you some decent results with the supporting cast that the Minnesota Vikings have? Yeah, I think so. Like, you have a good offensive infrastructure with play calling, with the scheme, with the offensive line. Obviously, you have two good running backs in the backfield. You bring over Aaron Jones from Green Bay. Love to see the Vikings, bringing over a Green Bay Packer, potentially get some revenge there. Great receiving targets, great tight end. This is a good offense. This is a good offensive setup for Sam Darnold to potentially have the most success he's had in his career. Still, though, not your long-term answer. At guard, I think that there's some options. Obviously, you traded Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars. Dalton Risner is still a free agent, so I think that you do need to get a starting guard, but there's guys out there you can definitely sign. Interior defensive line, I think, is still something that you can upgrade. I think cornerback, you've got Byron Murphy who can play some slot for you at a high level. I think Blackman is a very good young corner. You have Andrew Booth still as well, who hasn't really shown the development you would hope for. I think Caleb Evans isn't really what you're looking for as a starter. So I think corner, there are some pieces there, but you can definitely look to upgrade that spot. And then edge depth as well, I think, can certainly be upgraded. You do have Jonathan Grenard, who you brought over, and Andrew Van Ginkel from the Miami Dolphins. So you have a couple guys that can definitely rush the passer there. You've got Ivan Pace, who can blitz like no one else from the linebacker spot. But I still think you can definitely upgrade at edge. I think out of those positions, it makes the most sense to go get a guard who can start in free agency. Obviously, I mentioned Dalton Risner is still out there. Plenty of other vets. There's plenty of edge depth as well. There's other guys you can bring in. You can bring in some corners as well. But to me, I think you need to get guards settled before you enter the draft, because you want to make sure that complete offensive line is set up for success for whoever is taking snaps at quarterback, likely Sam Darnold to start the year. 9 draft picks here, but only 2 in the first 3 rounds, 2 in the first 2 days of the draft. Both of those are the first rounders. You now have 11, your own pick, and 23, the pick you traded to get with the Houston Texans. So you had 11, you now have 23 as well. To me, this obviously looks like it's a trade up for a quarterback scenario. The question is, where are they trading up to? Let's go ahead and get it popping here. If it is after pick 3, I think it's clearly going to be a J.J. McCarthy trade up. If it's in the top 3, if you trade with the Commanders, which would be shocking, the Patriots, which maybe the Patriots would trade out, maybe you're looking at a Drake May or Jaden Daniels, depending on what the Commanders do. I'm going to say for right now, I do believe that the Minnesota Vikings trade up. I think they're going to go try to get their quarterback. There is so much smoke around J.J. McCarthy. They know he's not going to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks taken. I think the Vikings trade 11 and 23 and a 2025 third to get to 5 overall with the Los Angeles Chargers. They've been reportedly looking for a trade down partner. I think it makes too much sense. J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings at 5 overall. Look, I like J.J. McCarthy. I like his game a lot. I'd be good with taking him at 11. They likely don't think he makes it to them at 11. There's several quarterback needy teams after the Los Angeles Chargers, who obviously are not quarterback needy. They have Justin Herbert in between the Chargers and where the Vikings pick at 11. So I think the Vikings want to move up, make sure they get their guy. Personally, I don't get trading the farm for him. I don't think he's that level of a talent, of a prospect. But look, he has excellent arm strength, can put all the zip on the ball that you could ever want. He is a leader, tremendous athlete. I think that the Michigan situation on offense just did not allow him to grow and flourish the way some other quarterbacks did in college. And look, he's a young quarterback. I think they see the traits. Again, the big arm, the athleticism, the leadership, and they're like, let's get this kid in here and he can be our leader for a long time and we can develop the nuance of the quarterback position. But he has the baseline physical traits that we desire. And so I think that's why the Minnesota Vikings are so in on JJ McCarthy. Personally, again, I wouldn't want to be trading 2 first-round picks and a future day 2 pick to go up and get him. But if you're convinced, if you have the conviction that this is your quarterback, by all means, get the job done. Bring in your quarterback. And if he ends up being your franchise guy, no one's going to question what you did to get him. You're just going to be happy that he's there. So now, after trading up for JJ McCarthy, we wait some more all the way to day 3 where we begin bargain hunting, right? Again, the Vikings do not have a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick right now after trading to get that 2nd first rounder with the Houston Texans at 108 overall. The next pick from 5 all the way to 108. Get edge Muhammad Kamara out of Colorado State. One of my favorite prospects in this class, a little bit of a sleeper, a guy who doesn't have insane length, does not have incredible size, but he has great natural leverage. He is explosive off the football, a bag of pass rush moves, a spin move that can leave you grasping at straws if you're an offensive tackle. He can rush from the edge and win around the outside arc. He can rush through you. He can also kick inside and be a stand-up inside rusher and knife through guards and centers. So I just love the versatility he brings as a pass rusher. I think in a Brian Flores defense that he would be a perfect fit. So Muhammad Kamara to the Minnesota Vikings at 108. At 129, I mentioned cornerback. I think Elijah Jones is a guy that has pretty good length, super explosive, very physical, will come downhill and tackle with the best of them at the cornerback position. Out of Boston College, I just think he makes a lot of sense as someone who can come in and compete, potentially start for you, maybe even in year 1, but somebody who has the length, the explosiveness, and the demeanor to go out there and produce at the cornerback position. Not the most fluid guy, but with his explosive athleticism, he can make up ground in a hurry, and he's also really smart and physical, so I like the fit there. At 157, is wide receiver necessarily a need? No, but in a class that is this loaded at receiver, I kind of like the idea of getting a slot superstar. You have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I think Anthony Gould, and I know they brought in Trent Sherfield as well. His profile, to me, I think it might be one of those guys like a Tank Dell that can come in and be dominant from the slot because he has all the skill in the world. He's incredibly quick, instinctive, a twitchy route runner, can also be an impact return guy for you. So I think landing him this late in the draft and throwing him into the mix at receiver in the slot just makes too much sense for me. And I'll be sending him to a lot of different places because, again, I just think that he is super undervalued in this class. At 167 overall, offensive tackle Garrett Greenfield. You don't need a starting offensive tackle right now, but you do kind of need a swing tackle. I know you have some veterans that you feel okay about, but I like the idea of getting Garrett Greenfield, who has the length. He's a really good pass protector. Come in and develop his game out of South Dakota State, a guy that has all the athletic traits and length and pass protection skills you could look for. Definitely needs to get stronger in the run game. He's super tall, so doesn't have the best natural leverage, but can he protect your quarterback of the future? I think he can. At 177, safety, Tyke Smith out of Georgia. He's really a nickel slash safety, and I know we have Byron Murphy, right? You have a couple safeties you feel good about. Hopefully Lewis Seen takes a step forward. Harrison Smith getting up there in age, certainly. But Tyke Smith can be one of these types of players that you plug in on the back end, and is he one of your best 5 players you can put out there in the secondary? I think he would be very quickly in short order, and a guy who can fly around the football field, make plays on the football. He's physical, he's aggressive, he runs fast, he hits. So I like the just the value of getting him at this point in the draft. I think he should be a day 2 player. At 230, Edge Grayson Murphy, not the biggest, not the guy with the best length out there. One of the Murphy twins from UCLA. Obviously pretty cool seeing twins entering the draft at the same time. But Murphy has bend, he has explosiveness. If you're talking about getting another player to get into a Brian Flores defense and just attack the football, attack the pocket, Grayson Murphy can do that for you in a tremendous value at 230 overall. Then the final pick here at 232, just another depth piece for the interior of the offensive line. Hunter Norzad out of Penn State, somebody who I think he's kind of an ass kicker. He's a guy that played center for the Nittany Lions, but I think he could have some swing versatility across the interior of that offensive line. And again, he can create movement in the running game. You can develop his pass pro. I think he has the requisite skills to get the job done. So I think this is the type of draft you're looking at for the Minnesota Vikings. You're going in, you're trying to get your quarterback of the future, and you're also trying to build in a bargain hunting sort of way on day 3 of this draft. Maybe you trade up back into day 2 at some point, but the way it's looking right now, I think you're getting your quarterback and then you're getting a bunch of value picks later on. Hopefully you're able to strike on a bunch of these guys, build up more of an infrastructure in what should be kind of a transitional year for the Minnesota Vikings, and then hit the 2025 season hot and heavy. You should have plenty of draft capital overall, and you should also have J.J. McCarthy locked and loaded, ready to go as your starter. And again, you have all the infrastructure on offense to get the job done. You have Brian Flores, who is a super creative defensive coordinator, a guy who loves to attack, and a guy who also will switch it up on you in a flash to where it's pretty confusing trying to figure out what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. I like the recipe they have going. If J.J. McCarthy hits, they could be one of the preeminent teams in the NFL in short order. So excited to see how it goes for the Minnesota Vikings. If you're a Vikings fan, let me know what you think about this mock in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.